Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That'll take us to our 5th match of the day, which is not our final match in this one. We have a bonus match for you here today because it is Sensational Sunday here at Hearthstone Grandmasters for Europe. It's SilverName taking on Orange in this one. SilverName looking to continue the wins that he's been putting up. An opportunity to move up to a 5-3 record in this one. And Orange exactly the same. You know, they've been having some pretty tough roads and they've had some really tough matches. But I've been pretty impressed with what they've been giving in their matches so far. So for SilverName, you can see at the bottom what's been protected and what's been banned. The Priest is protected on both sides. And then Warrior banned away from SilverName. Bomb Warrior banned away.
Ooh.
And for Orange, the Shaman is banned away. And so kind of looking at these two decks side by side, I'm seeing Paladin, the Holy Wrath Paladin from Orange, and I'm seeing the Malagos Druid from Orange as well. Both of those feel like matchups where Bomb Warrior can certainly pressure a lot more than a regular Control Warrior can.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious about the Bomb Warrior versus Mali Druid matchup, but certainly Holy Wrath Paladin, they've kind of got that double threat, right? They can threaten you with bombs and blowing you up and finishing off with damage, and they can also threaten the armor plan in certain draws as well with Eternium Rovers and things like that. So I definitely respect the Bomb Warrior going down with Orange's specific lineup. It's just a little unusual to hear going into a matchup. Oh, he's banned his Bomb Warrior, just not something we've been seeing in Season 2.
Yeah, he's tended to kind of divert from the normal paths, as we can take a look at SilverName's lineup and see what he's going to be working with in the series. Also has brought the Highlander Hunter with him, and I've been seeing this have some pretty decent success in Americas, but I feel like overall this deck hasn't pulled the weight. Now, that is a feeling of mine. I need to check the direct stats to see that one, which I'm going to be doing after this week because it was in play for SilverName. So for me, that's one of the big ones I need to look at is how this Highlander Hunter deck performs. But for him, I feel like it's done pretty darn well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been effective with it against Warriors early on. I think he's found some decent matchups for it across, and he certainly has a lot of faith with it. There's been a lot of chopping and changing in terms of decks. These spots have been taken up by Murloc Paladins and Aggro Warriors in different weeks that we've seen from SilverName, but that Highlander Hunter has remained fairly consistent. Since you were mentioning rematches earlier, this is actually one of the few rematches that we have today because of schedule shuffling and all that kind of stuff. Different players start playing their rematches at different times, whether it be week 4 or week 5. SilverName here did beat Orange in week number 1, getting himself off to a good start in Season 2, which he was very much needed for him. We asked him about it at the time, just through translation. He's like, yeah, well, I felt like I played great Season 1. I'm just happy to get a win in Season 2.
Kicking it off, Highlander Hunter versus the Priest from Orange, Combo Priest. And I've heard some whispers that this matchup, that Hunter can provide a lot of problems for what Priest is trying to do.
When I keep telling that story about how people are like, yeah, I think this matchup is favored. And I'm like, okay, well, they play Cleric on turn 1. How do you kill it? Like, oh, we don't. This is the matchup that I'm talking about.
Well, what else gives you trouble, though? I'm not looking at turn 1. I'm looking down the road at, turns 4, turn 5. Like, what can you do that offsets their plans? What can you do that makes things tough for them?
A lot. Things in the late game can start to become effective. Zephyrus early is the answer that you do sometimes get to
Deadly
that question
Shot early
of what happens when they play Cleric on 1. Deadly Shot very effective too, but then also cards like Pressure Plate are problematic because they want a Powered Shield and Divine Spirit, huge minions, and then Pressure Plate just blows them up. Freezing Trap, similar thing in some spots if you can keep control of the little minions. There's giant things like Dino Tamer Brand coming through in the late game. Like, I definitely agree, and I do not want to sell short. Hunter is one of the better decks at fending off Priest in the meta right now. Favored is a strong word.
I didn't say favored.
No. No, this is just shots out into the aether.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just looked me dead in the eye when you said it, and you're like, favored is not the word I'd use. And I'm like, whoa!
Just polite eye contact, Admirable.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm already thinking of weird stuff because that's how my head always operates with Highlander Hunter decks. I'm looking at that Leroy, and I'm thinking Psycho Pump, and I'm thinking, oh, yeah.
Wait,
nice,
what?
solid counter to the Psycho Pump.
Oh, okay.
Put the whelps in the pool.
I thought you were trying to come up with some way to, Psycho Pump the Leroy from... And I was trying to, well, whose side is he doing this from? What's going on?
That happened to me the other day.
What?
It was a weird OTK Priest. They didn't play anything.
Oh, I played against that, week 1 of the
Leroy
expansion.
Wretched Reclaimer, and then they Psycho Pump it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so smart.
Zephyrus Wild Growth doesn't choose to use it as a direct response to a minion, which is kind of interesting to me in what I've played in this matchup. I do quite often like to have Zephyrus on deck just to be able to respond to a specific thing that's in play.
Is SilverName eating an orange?
I really hope so.
I think he just. I think
Silence
he just took a bite of
falls
an orange.
over the cast as we just wait to see what SilverName is eating.
It's like, oh, it's bitter. Like, ooh.
What is Elune's will?
Is someone injured?
All right, problem number 1.
SilverName just rips the growth, curving into Subject 9 and then unleash the beast soon after. Orange might very much be considering what a 6/6 looks like this turn.
Yeah, I'm looking at SilverName's hand, and if he doesn't start doing some pretty drastic stuff, I think it's going to be some trouble. One of my first thoughts that comes to my head is, why would he take Wild Growth?
Life is enough.
Next thought that comes to my head is, well, what big cost cards does he have to play?
Oh, it's an 8/8. Forgot I had a powered shield on it already.
You know, Subject 9 is literally the one I look at for big turn 5 plays.
That's not a very good play when you've just got smashed in the face by an 8/8.
Does that mean you divert?
You have to.
You rip the deadly and you accept the consequences?
Yeah. Is it just too weak? So 33% of the time, maybe you're alive. 66% of the time, you're just kind of conceding. So what's the win rate of Subject 9 in this position?
Hang on, let me give you a quick number crunch.
All right, I'll wait.
Moves quickly.
That low. Oof. Yep, I think he just got pushed against the wall. And Orange said, fight back! And you went, okay! And then you punched the Northshire Cleric instead of the 8/8.
Yeah, it was significantly the better of the two bad ones, though. I will give it that.
I don't think that's very good.
It's not.
Sounds like a weird action flick. The
What
better of the two
is
bads.
Elune's will?
Yeah, he's in major trouble.
Yeah. Orange, very scared of what these secrets are right now, though. Because it's Snake Trap, it's not actually a trap he can test and confirm. So he has plays this turn, which likely play into Pressure Plate and Rat Trap. So this Pyro is now working out if it's Snipe, which it is not. So now he's scared to do anything, because he does not want that 8/8 to die to Pressure Plate.
He doesn't need to do anything.
Nope. He'd like to, though. He'd very much enjoy it.
Ooh.
Spellbreaker, it's a big kicker.
Your magic shall not save you.
It's his whole turn again, though. There's still 7 in play.
It's perhaps enough, though.
Right. Now Orange can get much better information on what this secret looks like. He does have lethal, as it stands.
As soon as he finds out that that is not a pressure plate.
But he can't do that. Like, if it is pressure plate, everything he does stops his lethal, right? Unless the Light Warden gets hit. We know he does have lethal because that is the most ineffective of secrets in this situation, Snake Trap.
That's the risk you take, right? I mean,
Oh, you go for it.
yeah, I don't want to
100%.
keep giving my opponent turns.
100%. You go for it. You start with a different spell that isn't
In the
the
light's
Topsy-Turvy, I
name.
would presume. Like silence the Pyromancer?
That's
It's
what
actually more difficult than I expected.
Nope,
just going to rip it. Good news, it's Snake Trap Orange.
Yep, he maxed it. Deal 5, then cast this. 75% to win in the face of pressure plate. That's the max.
Yep. Just wondering in the situation where it is pressure plate and that 25% does happen, like whether you would just like to have a topsy-turvy in your hand still and just having, you know, cast a powered shield instead. But the problem with the reason why I said that and then it's like actually it's more difficult than I thought is because if you cast any other spell first, the Pyromancer like cuts into the health of the board and then your topsy-turvy is worse because you've cut into the health of your board.
Yeah, it's just going to contain
So then
your
it's
mana.
like silence the Pyromancer. So yeah, I think all things considered, just ripping it, take your 75%, makes sense.
I think Topsy's the worst card in the hand. That's what I think.
Arguably, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty simple and straightforward.
Yep.
Solve the problem, pressure plate's the issue, take the 75.
I also think is pretty simple and straightforward is if you can't kill clerics on one, you're not favored against priests.
Hey, look, I would have taken a 50-50, all right? Like, give them to me.
All right.
End the game. That's what the 50% does. Sometimes, anyway.
Yep.
Well, Orange off to a 1-0 lead in this one. Pretty quick one. And so SilverName going to have to answer back in this one. We got to go to a quick break, but when we come back, it's our second game of the 5th match of the day with one more afterwards. Sensational Sunday. Stay tuned.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient plague lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have them right where I want them.
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The scales of justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend!
In the face! Yeah! Hey, guys! Get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry!
Not to worry, Finley. We just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap! Watch out!
It's all good. I am phonily timed.
Gracious me!
What we actually need to do is press this. And there. A fish.
No! It's the scales of justice!
Oh. Ah, who wants to use it first?
Oh, I do! Me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
My name is Tom Val, my handle is Viper. My username is just one of those boring stories where it's a 12, 13-year-old kid makes his first WoW account basically. You gotta pick a username, taken. Is this Viper taken? Oh, Viper's possible, nice, okay, whatever. It's a generic name, it's fine. And then I just stick to it. Being Grandmasters means that I'm one of the top 16 players in Europe, basically, right? Which is really worth a lot for me because I always want to be the best, I always want to be competitive, I always want to do well. That's just who I am. I always try to be open-minded, I try to test whatever decks are good. January in 2016 it was, I think. I had almost 3K games in a month, just playing Aggro Shaman and Miracle. I think I've also played an unhealthy amount of J Druid and the Dragon Combo Priest after that. I just love those powerful decks, I guess. Being second at Worlds, it's such a crazy feeling and I'm not sure if I really realize it at this point. Now I'm just looking forward to Grandmasters, I'm looking forward to playing well. I want to play on the big stage, I'm really looking forward to that.
It's Hearthstone Grandmasters sensational Sunday here in week number 4. I'm Nathan, that's Admirable's More. I'm joined by Simon Sotto Welch, and we are amidst our 5th match of the day with one more bonus match left to go afterwards. And right now, Orange is off to a 1-0 lead thanks to some handy-dandy priest work, and SilverName is breaking out the priest of his own to crack back.
Yeah, makes sense. I think you don't really want to go out of a series having not played your priest with the power class that it is right now. Orange is responding in kind with his paladin, which has kind of been the deck of the day, I would say, in terms of what we've been seeing. And this is a matchup that we've seen paladin struggle with enormously, just because it's so difficult to navigate which positions you're supposed to be committing board clears on, like where you're supposed to fight, which minions are supposed to kill. Am I being threatened with lethal this turn? Am I not? Do I need to time out to stay alive? Like, all of those questions are very difficult to answer when you're playing Paladin into a deck that has the explosive burst potential the Priest does.
Yeah, there's a couple things I've run into when I'm playing Paladin in this position, and one of the biggest ones is using equality ahead of being able to clear board.
Yep.
Now, my tendency has been, the better my hand is, the more willing I am to use equality to fend off like pinpoint lethals that require pretty strong ranges for my opponent. The worse my hand is, if you got it. Well, you got it then. I mean, my hand sucks.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
To me, this is the issue I have faced the most, though, is having a novice engineer versus a Northshire cleric and having no idea what to do.
Yes.
I've tended to just play it. Have no idea if that's right.
I hope you like my invention.
Well, Orange
I feel
agrees.
better.
I would too. The more cards you draw, the quicker you get to True Silver Champions and Hammer of Wrath and Equality and Shrink Ray and things that you need to fight the board anyway. Like, what are you going to do? Just sit back and let them play like an injured Tolvir and start healing stuff up themselves anyway? It's not like Priest struggles to find targets to heal these days. They just gave them an extra Blade Master.
For SilverName, he doesn't even have to take action this turn. There's nothing in Orange's deck that can handle this position adequately, aside from if he casts a proactive Subdue.
Whoa.
Mathematically impossible for Zephyrus to be active. Nothing he could do.
That would be a tilter right there.
Just Zephyrus and kill it. You're like, ah!
What would Uther do?
Gosh, it's so tough. You can't even tempo anything.
No, I know, like, even just playing out the Pyromancer, like, you just heal up the Tolvir, you trade into it. If there's a Circle of Healing, it still punishes you just as hard in that world. Just sat back, just kind of waiting for the worst to happen.
I mean, SilverName's just doing the exact same thing Orange did last game.
Yeah, make a big Tolvir with a Northshire Cleric hidden behind it.
It's deja vu. The debate here for SilverName is the heal with Neferset or to play the injured in circle. Wow, both of them sides have merit too because of the Wild Pyro in hand. If you play the Neferset in circle, your Pyro gets a little bit weaker. Play the Neferset, you draw less cards.
Yeah, it's kind of the reason why I do like the Neferset is that it's because it's specifically Pyro, Coin, Circle of Healing is the rest of the hand.
You just get so
Boy,
many cards.
is that just a million cards.
Attack on a Light Warden as well.
Yep.
So he can...
Might just have lethal next turn with Light Warden in play.
In the
I mean,
light's
yes,
name.
and, you know, with the Light Warden in play too, the Silence plays the role of the Activator.
Yep.
Well, it's either Hammer of Wrath or it's Consecration or it's my hand isn't very good. Ignore those factors. Hope I don't die.
I think Orange dies turn 4 this game. I'm just going to put it out there. I think it's going to happen.
So you're calling the lens.
Yeah.
The look is like, oh my gosh, I could actually just die.
Yep, what Orange said.
It's like, but man, I don't want to not cast Prismatic Lens.
What would Uther do?
All right. It didn't happen.
Oh, you say that.
He's not dead this time. Needed the cleric to be alive for circle to go off, and then like inner fire coming off the top or whatever for that extra bit of damage he was going to need. Circle number 2, whatever it would end up being.
I mean, it can still crack for 10 extra. I'm pretty interested in dealing 10 extra.
I've got more left in me.
Just a few extra. He wants the circle, I think, to be a big surprise.
Ooh. Options are plenty now. Suddenly this hand did just come alive a little bit.
Yeah, it really did.
So there's Pyro Subdue, Elven Archer, same thing.
He's got to take some sort of action this turn, though.
Which
Yeah.
path to choose?
Honestly, I think this is a pretty strong spot from SilverName to recognize, hey, you know what, this much damage is hidden, and next turn I have heal and Wild Pyromancer or Circle. Like, that's just lethal.
Pyro, Subdue, Elven Archer this turn, though, can kill a 2/8 and the Light Warden.
Uther do?
Yeah, I feel like you're so interested in trying to find ways to draw cards, but you do have to stunt the attack first.
Yeah, I mean, first things first, let's just not die next turn. Repeat.
Avoid catastrophe, then find the way to win.
Yeah.
Must act now.
Yep, looks like this is the play. It's a lot of pressure relieves.
And a bad draw.
So now with the Cleric dead, Orange does have the opportunity just to starve out this hand a little bit from SilverName, because there's no amount of huge aggression coming through from this point. It's a few 2-attack minions, and they do add up quick, especially when you've already got your opponent down at 20. But it was that Light Warden, and it was that 2/8 that was really threatening to end the game on him. Hey, guess what? The 2/8's back.
Time to start drawing.
Gotta be lens time now. Can't live your life in fear. I think all the turns Orange chose to be scared of the damage coming through were very appropriate.
It's just that SilverName has put so much deliberate attention into making an 8
What would
that you're
Uther
like,
do?
Yeah. Yeah, I can
I mean,
definitely understand that
you,
fear.
you die to Divine Topsy or Divine Inner Fire.
Well, you have the Flashlight, right? Which would require an extra card. 1621
What
with just
would
Divine and a
Uther
Flipper.
do?
So you're asking for a 3-card hand?
Yeah, it's true. Just so many of the cards that buff health.
Yeah.
I've seen a pair of them.
Must act now.
Perhaps the draw changes something. It does not.
That's pretty good for next turn, though. The Blood Mage Consecration.
Not good pickups off the lens.
Functionally the same thing as the...
Look at SilverName's face. You see it?
Yep. Sure did.
To the moon.
Is someone injured?
Yeah, Orange's reaction to it is like, no.
Yeah, Orange, remember last game when I had some good news? It was Snake Trap. I got some bad news. There's a Pyro and there's a Circle. SilverName now has his deck in his hand.
He's got to hurry up, though.
It really didn't matter where that silence went, just not on a thing that has card text.
Quickly.
It's only 18 right now. If anything lives, it's a different story.
Yep. If there's no Equality or Shrink Ray drawn, Orange can deal with most of this, but not the biggest threat.
So then that's the question, is how do you deal with this?
I imagine timeout and you wait. Timeout True Silver? Try and have, because you have then essentially 4 damage AoE on the following turn with Blood Mage, Pyro, and Consecration at a bare minimum if you don't find the draw. You could also time out and just play the Blood Mage to double your draws on the next turn to actually find the timeout or the Equality.
It's so weird.
Think I'm on Blood Mage timeout plan.
You want the double draws.
Yep.
Must act now. What would Uther do?
There's also turns that we're not considering, because we can see the hand is Divine Inner, which is just kind of going through the motions with Consecration and cleaning up the board and hoping that there's not infinite damage coming back the other way.
Wait a second. I love this idea. Get lucky. So you have the 2-cost timeout. If you clock him for 25, you can actually just kill him sometimes.
Yes, you're actually right. This is the Blood Mage timeout line, but superior in just about every way. You still draw the same card. You know, find your double draw for whatever it is, but you also have the opportunity to just spike a high roll, and then you have lethal the next turn sometimes if your opponent doesn't clear. Or if your opponent doesn't heal, I'm sorry.
I must consider.
Yeah, that's a much better way
super
of doing
smart.
it. Yeah.
I mean, it's a 1 out of 15, but like honestly, look at the board. That's probably the best he's got.
Right, like that happens sometimes and it gets the headlines and cool, whatever. But it's just, you know, he wanted a way to draw a card. He might as well have just done it with Holy Wrath, because this is not really a matchup where you do need both of them.
I must consider.
It's just better than doing it with the Blood Mage, which is a more flexible card, a cheaper card, harder card to get out of your hand. A card that he can cycle immediately with Pyromancer at various points if it gets that desperate, especially now he's got a Crystology in his hand.
I'm curious if that's what he's looking at exactly next turn, actually, was the Wild Pyro Blood Mage timeout again, find a couple of board clears in a row, and then be able to contain from that position.
Let the pain speak to me.
SilverName just turns down the card draw.
1 card away. It was 1 card away.
It was, yes. 1 card is the difference between 1 damage and 25 damage.
For an average of 13.
Which path to choose?
So does the Pyro happen now? Was that the line all along?
Well, I think it was a consideration, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea behind nailing the 25 was that you would have Shrivala and True Silver in hand, and so you have a way to actually push through the taunt and force through the damage of True Silver.
Yep.
And so now that that's gone, maybe not. Can you force draws over to SilverName and perhaps get him into fatigue to where board clears start meaning lethal opportunity? Like there's just a lot of small things going on, and that's where Orange's brain has to be at right now, is just how do I find clever ways to win the game?
Yeah, that board plus that hand plus 9 more priest cards seems like a lot for me to try and beat right now.
Just dig for the board clear.
Yeah, I think that's really just what it is all about, what it has been about for multiple turns. It's just digging as efficiently as possible. You see that Holy Wrath being cast instead of the Blood Mage on the previous turn means that he has Blood Mage available for a card draw this turn, which is important because he found Christology. So he could weave in Christology plus the Blood Mage plus the Novice Engineer, drawing significantly more cards over 2 turns than if he'd done it the way I initially suggested.
Yeah,
Again, like the 25 damage was Hollywood, but I seriously don't think that was important. It was just about drawing cards in the most efficient way possible, and sometimes you spike a significant high roll.
Nah, all about the highlight reel. Ignore what Saddle said. Cool factor 10.
Yeah, I'm going to deny that. With Shivala in hand now as well, SilverName finds himself in a really, really awkward spot. Because he doesn't want to play more things and get blown up by an equality or a shrink ray that he thinks Orange has at this point and is just baiting him for. If he doesn't do that, though, Shivala just takes out his big minion. And then, whatever, Pyro Consecration deals with the rest. He just doesn't have board anymore. Wow. Has Orange found a way this game? Has Orange found a way this game, Nathan? Consecration, Pyro, Christology, Shivala. Like, pick your poison. There are ways to clear this board effectively.
What would Uther do?
Are you not bankering the Shivala at that point? I guess you don't have to, like, right? It's so hard for SilverName
Well,
to actually kill it.
Okay, so... Yeah, you're good. You can still banker it.
So, oh, you can, yeah. Not with the Christology mixed in.
Right.
Because that's the other thing, too. If you keep finding alternative lines to clearing stuff, what ends up happening is SilverName is still in fear of health adjustments, fearing equality, and fearing Shrink Ray.
Yep.
It makes going in on the Ahmet just that much more difficult. The 2 Psychopomps to me are really going to be the kicker because Orange has Zephyrus in hand. So a clear in the form of Twisting Nether doesn't always work. However, clear in the form of, I don't know, say, if for whatever reason Zephyrus would finally offer Mass Dispel, that would work. It's a very hard card for Zephyrus to choose, and I think the first primary thing it looks at is attack on board.
Correct. It's attack on board and actual cards it can remove. So if you have a thing magnetized onto another thing, it likes removing that. If you have Blessing of Kings on another thing, it likes removing that. If you've just made a board that's just Ahmet and then you just spew everywhere, like there's no extra cards on that board. So Zephyrus is like, yeah, no attack, no cards being removed. Don't care.
And with the Shivala in play, this is not easy.
It's not.
It's hard to stick something to the board right now. Holy smokes.
I wonder.
Quickly.
He's just got to go. We talked about this previously in the day. The Priest doesn't have comeback mechanism. This is their comeback mechanism. Play things with Ahmet and just over-contest the board and hope it's good enough.
The end begins.
And now, that Zephyrus will offer a way to clear, because Twisting Nether is good enough here. It's only 1 Psychopomp. You got a 7-5 crashing in, you got a 2-2 crashing in. If you're Orange here, you got many ways to answer. And that's going to put SilverName in a really tough spot.
I think this is a Zephyrus Cabal Shadow Priest turn. Flash of Light Zeph, he should, with 2 2/9s on the board. I'm pretty sure Zephyrus cooperates at that point.
Which path to choose?
SilverName only plays 1 copy of Silence.
And it's gone.
Orange is aware that it's gone. I think that's a major factor.
So are you arguing for the 2/9? Are you arguing for the 2/9 taunt? Sorry.
It's worth considering.
Okay.
Act now.
Because I'm killing off the Ahmed.
That's true.
If I'm doing
That's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, doesn't influence it on 6. We'll see if it still hands it over. It does. It does. If you haven't thought of it, you need to react quick, but I think he had.
Let me change your mind.
Beautiful.
Wow. Missed the 1-1.
What happened? Oh, he didn't press hero power. Right.
I think it's unlikely to matter, but
I think he's more likely to want a flash of light with that 2 remaining mana anyway, right? Maybe not with the pyro in play.
but this plan was executed very well from Orange.
Yep.
So now, is it enough? SilverName still fearing what health adjustments mean.
I mean, he's just fearing not being able to develop a board into this that sticks, which is the reality right now.
And that's because the health adjustments both are still there.
Yep.
You know, if he knew Orange's hand right now, I think he would load up on this Psycho Pump. It would be the biggest darn Psycho Pump you've ever seen, and he would just cram it over that 2-9 and go, deal with my 50-50.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
He might still do it.
So now he has to...
He's clearing off the Shivala.
What, is he clearing off the Taunt? Is my question.
Well, he's going to attack it.
Right, but then another spell after he attacks it is relevant, right? So he could have done that in a different order, where one of these Pyro procs goes off after the Inner Fire, but he just has a less aggressive minion left on the board afterwards.
Yeah, I think you need the big one. Wow.
But what good is the big one if it has to attack into a 2-1 next turn?
Well, I mean, I just explained it. He's all in. He's like, I'm just not going to beat that stuff. Here we go.
But you have to beat the board at the very least.
I see what you're saying. He needs to connect the damage. I agree. But the bigger story here is he's like, I'm not going to beat a health adjustment. He's right.
Sure.
So he loses.
Okay, fine.
Right? Like, if he doesn't make the more aggressive minion, like, he's just not getting through the damage.
Well, okay, even if you're in that position, you have two options. You concede or you continue to make the best play. I'm arguing he didn't make the best play. I think that's a discussion point.
So you would have Divine Spirit, Inner Fired, and then Divine Spirit?
Yes.
Okay, so you wouldn't have used the extra arms. Gotcha. He's got a Topsy left that you can still fight with. It's the last piece. Psycho Pump.
Third game. Why have all our Holy Wrath Paladin games just
Gotta
been
be Ahmed.
absolute nonsense?
Not Ahmed. Oh, you said it was the deck of the day. I mean,
yeah.
This is your fault.
Whoa!
In the light's name.
All right, fine. I'll take credit for Paladin.
I think this is a cool
Priest
game.
is your fault. How about that?
Well, I didn't say anything about Priest.
Nah, I'm just blaming you anyway. See
I
if
said
can
it
get away with
lost. Yeah, you're welcome. Not that I'm rooting against SilverName. Man, this game was cool. Orange bought so much time. And it was on the back of just pretty deliberate defensive play the entire way.
Yep. Yeah, it was just that weird checkmate mid-game scenario where SilverName was so scared of removal that wasn't there, which is what the timeouts were kind of representing. Just like, please play more so I can get more value out of this equality that's in my hand. And SilverName kind of respected that, but then just left himself vulnerable to Shivala because of the position he left himself in. Just 1/2/7 or 2/8 minion, kind of representing the only threat in play.
Now, I
Just
will
played
say,
it a little bit too slowly in the end.
I will say that Orange still has a little bit more work to do.
He does. Game's not over.
He's got to get it picture perfect, but I think he's got the right idea.
He's winning in fatigue, first and foremost, which is incredibly unusual.
What would Uther do?
When you are the Holy Wrath Paladin? He's at 30. He knows that there is a More Arms and a Divine Spirit left in terms of multipliers.
He's trying to lock out the cost of something relevant. And that would have been exactly that shrink ray. So now he's got 25 lined up. SilverName can't kill this turn. That's checkmate. Wow. That was a big gulp. He was tense the entire match. I mean, it felt like he just kept getting more and more tense until the final moment where he went, all right, I got it.
Yep. SilverName's doing what he can. That's one I absolutely do agree with. You just got to hope something silly has happened with your opponent's prismatic lens that prevents this from happening, in which case you want a huge minion in play.
Let's stash that away.
Did he nearly just cast out? Okay, I don't know whether he's trolling or whether that was an actual near accident that he caught at the end. Luckily, we're going to have the opportunity to ask him very, very soon. He just for a moment pointed a Holy Wrath at his opponent's face with an empty deck.
I'm letting you ask that one.
Sweet. Right up my alley.
I am so impressed with that game. He recognized everything. He's like, can't cast the lens, got to fight for board. Can't cast the lens, got to removal again. Whoa, how did this board keep getting out of hand?
Yeah.
How do I respond? And the answer was mana efficiency. He was using the Holy Wrath to draw, and then using the 2-cost timeout, then having the Blood Mage on the following turn with the Crystology being able to mix in.
Yep.
Keep digging into the deck, and then finally find those pressure points. Deviating with the Shrivala, having to take an early turn with it and shuffle the Banker back in, and just continuously fight for board the entire way. And that diligence in fighting for board is what ended up paying off for him. He won the board. And once he'd won it, there was no way SilverName was getting it back.
Yep, for sure. There's a good chance that I would have lost that game because for some reason that turn I just blanked on the idea of Holy Wrath being used to draw a card, and I was fixated on using Blood Mage to do it instead. And if I use Blood Mage timeout instead of what Orange did, then that affects my mana efficiency later on. So maybe one card that he needed crucially, which was a top deck on a turn, I don't have in my hand, and the whole thing goes completely wrong. So those sequence of turns from kind of turn 6 to turn 8 to 9-ish from Orange, those were the game-winning ones for sure, and it was super impressive. That was a hard game to win, and he won it.
Yeah, so let's hear from Orange himself. Orange, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Woo, congratulations. Game number 2 was lit. I want to hear what was going through your head that game, because you continued to grow more and more tense until you finally saw that you had it at the end.
I just want to ask you guys, you guys probably know that I brought OTK Paladin almost every week, but how many games can you guys recall me actually playing this OTK Paladin?
Very few.
Yeah, this was my second, and I think I died on turn 5 in the first one I did. Needless to say, I guess I'll throw it out there. I've been kind of avoiding playing it because I am not as experienced with the deck as some of my practice partners, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable when playing the deck. But you know, when you surround yourself with people that are like some of the world's best at that deck, then you pick up a thing or two. And with some practice in, I'm actually pretty happy with how I piloted that. It was pretty hard to navigate because I didn't have Shrink Ray or Equality until the very, very bottom of my deck. But see, when he overcommitted on board and had so many minions in play, I knew that I could just take a few turns off and timeout, and from there on I should be able to set up a pretty easy win with Shrivala. I'm not sure if there was anything he could have done to prevent being that locked on board and being unable to do anything for several turns. But yeah, I was pretty happy that I spotted it. And as soon as the Shrivala landed, I was pretty sure that there was no way I could lose from there, even though it was still some things that could have gone wrong from that point.
Well, there was perhaps one way you could have lost. Sottle?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I mean, I have to ask because you made me, but I've avoided talking about it all day. Were you trolling, or was that did you almost make a mistake at the end?
Oh no, I was trolling.
Okay.
There was actually one spot where I didn't have time to figure out if I could die or not, and that was when I cabaled his Tolvir. He still had Topsy-Turvy left at that point, and I'm not sure if there was some Wild Pyromancer, Topsy-Turvy, 2 more spells.
Right.
So Circle of Healing. No, there's no way he could have done all of that. It was just something I was worried about, but now when looking back at it, there was no way he could have killed me that turn.
Yeah. Just going back to what you were talking about, though, it was weirdly, you not having the clears in your hand is kind of worked against him because he was so scared to develop more onto that board because he thought you were timeouting for clears that he ended up just leaving the one board state that just weirdly got murdered by Shivala Pyro Consecration, you know? So, like, he was in a weird spot, but I don't think there was too much from either side that could have changed it, apart from you played really well, which changed it in your favor.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
that wasn't. Oh, you just didn't ask a question.
No,
okay.
it wasn't a question. Like, this is just a trend now. I just say nice things to Orange, and he's happy about it. Look how happy he is.
Well, I'm happy about it too. And you step up to a 5-3 record now, and you know the division has been pretty tough. You know, just everywhere you slice it, you know everyone's having a tough time. But 5-3 record now, you've consistently set a pace that you're getting ahead once we reach this midway point. And so now what I'm looking at is there any opponent that you're particularly looking forward to playing against, or one perhaps that you're not in your coming weeks?
I mean, someone gotta put Casper in his place, and that's coming up for me next week. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, also on the point you're mentioning, that I am usually much better like the later into a metagame I get, and I was thinking about that today. That I think that I'm getting to a point in the metagame where I feel pretty comfortable with most of the decks and like all the popular matchups. That I feel like my record. I feel like I can keep it up. I'm on a good winning streak right now, and I feel good about it. I feel like the last 3 weeks are gonna be a lot of fun, and when I'm gonna peak in this meta, hopefully.
Nice. No, nothing more from me.
All right. Well, you know, Hunter Ace had said that you had some words that you couldn't repeat on broadcast, so I'm curious what those are. You can feel free to DM to me later, because I always love hearing your thoughts. Orange, you've been playing fantastically. I think I loved what I saw in that Paladin game. That was a work of art. It was a masterpiece. So congratulations on this win, and I'm looking forward to seeing you play Casper.
Yeah, see you next week.
I was hoping he would just go really deep on the shots to Hunter Ace on that one.
I told you, it's just not fit for a family broadcast, Admirable.
He's just so Swedish.
I know. Like, it's hard to imagine those two players, like, what their smack talk sounds like.
They're like, you, sir, are a bumbling buffoon.
Yeah, just the most adorable, non-threatening smack talk you've ever heard in your life.
I'm like, I'll take being a bumbling buffoon. Yeah. Sometimes means I get 2 bananas in my hand. You know, like the banana buffoon? Yeah. That's where I was going with it anyway.
I followed you. It was tenuous at best.
Good. That's exactly the tone I was going for.
Excellent.